Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Hope you're all doing well today. And without further ado, let's get into things. So, the first game that we're going to take a look at today is called Strike Buster Prototype. And it's from the same company that brought us Bio Prototype, which I put into the first video. So, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. Now, as you can see, there's a few different characters that you can choose from. There's a few different weapons that you can choose from. There's also a few different modes you can choose from. There are 3 different types of weapons. There's your bullet type weapons, your lasers, and your Tesla weapons, which are, obviously electricity. And they all act in very different ways. You play for a few minutes, and then you will be faced with a boss fight, and there won't be any new enemies until the boss is finished. There are many different weapons that you can unlock, and as you see here, there's different types of missions that you can select, from hardcore mode, asteroid mode, and even a boss rush, which is pretty nice. If this is your kind of style, then you should definitely check it out. The next game we're going to take a look at today is called Endless Wander. This game is a top-down action roguelike with 4 different characters that you can choose from, but you'll only start with the one, and the other ones are paid, so just keep that in mind. There's a few different styles to choose from, and every time that you beat the game with a certain character, you can level up and basically make the game harder each time for up to 5 times. Each character has their own unique special abilities, and that definitely keeps the game interesting. So the way the game is set up is that you have 3 different weapon spots, and then you have a different ability that you can add to each one, and then as you get further in your progression, you can add 2 or 3 different modifiers like fire or ice or earth to your weapons to make them stronger and to synergize with certain abilities. The way that you need to strategize your movement is to attack an enemy before it starts attacking you, because once you start attacking it, it'll interrupt. But some of the enemies have shields, and they won't get interrupted until their shield is broken. So it it definitely takes some strategy and some figuring out which uh, enemies to battle first and which ones to dodge first. The game might start off pretty easy, but the difficulty spike definitely ramps up after you beat it. Now, they keep coming out with brand new updates pretty regularly, and the game has changed quite a bit since it first came out on its 1.0 release, and it just keeps getting better and better. Now, this game is exclusively on mobile, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with next. The next game that we're going to look at is called Metboy. It is a very fun and simple arcade style game, and I had an absolute blast playing this one. The control setup is quite easy to understand, but very difficult to execute. Basically, if you press on the left side with your thumb, you jump and you fire left, and the opposite for the right. So if you press the right side, you jump and fire to the right. And if you press them both at the same time, left and right, you shoot a downward bullet. It took me a really long time to get good at this one, but once I did and finally beat it, there was a nice little surprise, a new game plus, which is always very much appreciated. It is very unique, and I would recommend it to just about anybody. Okay, and now we're going to get into something a little bit more unusual. This game is by a company called Apsir, which makes tremendous games all around, and it is called Puzzling Peaks. The game is pretty straightforward, and you have control over the little levers. You can go left and right, and the blue ones go the opposite direction, so eventually the game gets really complicated. It's kind of like a puzzle game and golf mixed into one, and it will definitely give your brain a little bit of a workout. It's not a super long game unless you're terrible at it, but it's long enough to make it worth the couple bucks it is to buy it. I just started my second playthrough, and I'm already remembering how much fun I had the first time around. I definitely feel the need to bring up the fact that this game has very sensitive controls and the gravity of it feels perfect, so that plays a huge role into why the game is fun and addictive. You don't necessarily need to be into puzzle games to enjoy it, so why not give it a shot? And for our final game today, we're going to look at Dan the Man, which is a classic in its own right, and very deservedly so. For being a typical 2D action adventure game, this is actually quite a special one in my opinion. The controls feel like they're set up perfectly, and they are very responsive, so that is a must in this kind of action game. You have 4 characters to choose from, and they're all different in their special moves. And Barry, he's from their other Half Brick games. He actually starts with a gun, which is pretty cool. Half Brick has been around for quite a while, and they have a lot of different releases, so they're definitely worth checking out. You also have a fully customizable character, as well as special events that occur about once a month or so that keep the game interesting and keep you coming back for more. On top of all that, it also has a multiplayer mode where you can either send a code to a friend so it can be a personalized one, or you can just do a quick online game to, battle for a high score against some random person online. This is actually one of the games that got me into mobile gaming to begin with, so it definitely has a special place in my heart, and I will always recommend this game to anybody. It gets quite difficult towards the end, and there are 2 DLCs that you can buy, but if you complete all of these adventures on the side, you will unlock the second one after you do all of the adventures. There is also a trailer for Dan the Man 2, so that should be awesome to be looking forward to.